I love breaking down games like these. Arsenal have won 2-0 at Villa Park, got somewhat a bit of revenge after the defeats last season. Inevitably, one of them actually cost us the title. This was a big game, people heaping a lot of pressure on Arsenal. Can you right the wrongs of last season? But also, can you pick up momentum? Because we've got City and Tottenham away in our first 3 away games, following Villa Park as well. So there we go. Lots of pressure. Before we go into it all with Graham, he's done some amazing research as always, just want to tell you a little bit about NordVPN. Keep up to date with all the latest football action thanks to NordVPN. You can get an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan by going to nordvpn.com/AFTV and signing up now. Wherever you're travelling, switch your location with Nord so you can still watch your favourite football team and catch all the exciting action of the season. This is how I use NordVPN when I'm travelling around the world, by simply selecting one of Nord's 6,000 plus servers in 111 countries worldwide and then using my favourite streaming services as normal. Head over to nordvpn.com/AFTV or click the link in the description below to get 4 extra months of NordVPN with their brilliant 2-year plan. This is an exclusive deal for AFTV viewers and you don't want to miss out. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you so much to our friends at NordVPN for powering this video. Big thanks again to NordVPN. Now let's talk about the big win at Aston Villa at Villa Park. Graham, I'm delighted that we just... You know what's so funny? As we're going to go into all the positives Arsenal did, a lot of people were saying that last season's performances, both home and away, were better than what we gave and what actually ended up being a win. But either way, I felt Arsenal deserved this win and were well worthy of the 3 points.
Yeah, I think, James, it was a big statement win on Saturday that I think ultimately would be worth more than the 3 points, given that Aston Villa are a Champions League team, given that they, as you say, they took the 6 points off us last year, a crushing defeat at the Emirates that ultimately ended our Premier League title hopes, a lot of people say. And of course they beat us up at Villa Park, didn't they, back in December, that sort of like precipitated that run of defeats that ultimately was so costly. I think it would have been psychologically damaging to have actually gone up there and lost. So I think the importance of that can't be understated. And the irony is, as you say, that we didn't play as well in this game. We rode our luck and we were indebted to our goalkeeper, David Raya, with an absolutely sensational save at 0-0 and Watkins having an off day. Yeah. It was also redemption day for Leandro Trossard, Leo Trossard, because if you remember in that Emirates game last season at 0-0, he missed that big chance that ultimately proved costly. So for him to come on and score with his first touch was absolutely amazing. And in the end, we got over the line, and that, as I say, is a really vital win. Yeah, completely agree. The match stats, as always, people. We were outshot. What's going on? They had more shots than us, but we did have more on target. We passed the ball a lot more. You can see that Arsenal really did have possession of that game. But interestingly, if you don't mind, I actually went and got a different XG to the one that you sent over. Understat had Arsenal at 1.41 XG to their 1.32. Point you wanted to make was that a really high amount of their XG was built from a moment where there's a bit of debate on Forever Arsenal as to whether it was a foul on Gabriel. I think it was, but it was a moment that led to a basically open goal for Watkins. And then the other where Ryan makes an absolutely world-class save to deny Watkins from really close range after it hit the crossbar. I'm not saying we didn't get lucky, we did, but dare I also say Villa got a little bit lucky. They were in those positions, what with the foul and then the deflecting onto the bar. It's just one of those things that happens in football, really. Yeah, Watkins had 2 big chances, didn't he? The first chance, James, actually was a 0.62 XG. Right. So that's why I had them at 1.8. So I take that away and it's fairly even. The second chance comes from, I think it looped up onto the crossbar. Raya's going down, and this is what goalkeepers work for day in, day out, don't they? To get up quickly and to be in a position where they can react and make a save. Watkins obviously thought he was going to score. I think by the way, he just thought he had to head it towards the goal. Yeah. But having said that, for Raya to react in the way he did and claw it away, that was absolutely vital in the game. And at that period, we were hanging on a bit. And ultimately, then with the Martinelli sub, Trossard comes on and changes the whole game. But in that moment, Raya, I think, showed his quality, you know, and why now he's firmly established as the Arsenal #1. For anyone who, and I'm sure you all do, all the viewers are watching who will watch Arsenal's training videos that they release online or whatever, when you catch a glimpse of what the goalkeepers do, a lot of it is throwing a ball at it's like a piece of equipment. I think it's either a netting or something that basically can send the ball in lots of different directions from close range, and they have to quickly react. So David Raya, I think, said in his post-match, it's something they work on.
And I imagine it's almost an everyday exercise that, being, sometimes they're lying on their back and they get up and then they have to sort of react to where the throw goes. So, yeah, it's something he'll have been ready for. And in that moment, all that training had him absolutely ready to deny Ollie Watkins and keep us at 0-0. Some of the attacking stats, we had 50 final third entries to their 31, 39 deep touches to their 24, much better than last week's. Right? This feels much more Arsenal. 16 zone 14 touches to their 8, with a 63.3% field tilt. Defensive numbers had them doing more defending in terms of tackles. Interceptions, though, we were pretty good on that front. They cleared it 17 times for our 15, and we had 6.3 passes per defensive action to Aston Villa's 21.9. They were not looking to press us, were they, Graham?
They weren't. It was a very cagey sort of game, James. The way the game started, Villa were pressing in a 4-4-2, but it was almost like a 4-4-2.
Show it on the tactical
Yeah,
patch,
it was almost like a 4-4-2 no press.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a 4-2-4 full press.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately how they turned the ball over when Bailey got on to Gabriel. And obviously you thought it was a foul. But ultimately it leads to Watkins' chance. Arsenal, I think, wanted to be patient in build-up, but Villa sat off. So it was a very cagey sort of start. Villa were quite happy. Bearing in mind, they like to play a high line, but they sat quite deep at times in this game. Mm-hmm. And I think they were happy for Arsenal to have the ball and literally stop us playing through our box midfield, which is becoming a theme this season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you pointed it out in the Wolves game, actually, last week.
I did. And it was replicated in this game by Aston Villa, James. I noticed it last week when Wolves were playing. They were trying to stop us playing through the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
Arsenal like to build up in their box midfield, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
With obviously the big change to the team that we put out on Saturday was Timber coming back in for Zinchenko, which a lot of people like because Timber not only can play the role that Zinchenko does, but in inverting and being good with his passing and on the ball, but he obviously defensively is probably better. And Villa had Bailey, who obviously hurt us last year in the wide area. So you have there's the box midfield. If you look at it on the screen there, you've got Partey, Timber. That's our traditional 3-2-5 build-up. But we've got the box midfield 4 there with Partey on the right. We've got Timber on the left, and then we got Odegaard in the right-sided 8 and Rice in the left-sided 8. But if you look at how Villa are now defending, you've got Rodgers and Watkins sitting on our 2 inverted players.
Yeah.
And then we've got Tielemans, who literally was marking Odegaard all the game, literally trying to be on him when we had the ball and build up. And then you've got Onana tracking the movement of Rice. And so much so, I thought in that first half, Arsenal were trying to work out the way how to go, really, because there was very little room to go through the centre of the pitch. A lot of the time, Arsenal, Saliba and Gabriel were getting the ball, but not only was our box midfield sort of well marked, there was very little space between the lines to get it out wide, where we wanted to get our wide players one-on-ones really with their fullbacks and try and create space and then get up high to work our combination. So I thought Villa did a very good job in that first half, apart from that one moment where Bukayo Saka was able to shift it onto his left foot, get a shot away when Martinez made a save. But apart from that, that was how we struggled. I thought we struggled to create in that first half. Yeah. It was a very even first half. Villa had the big chance, obviously. Watkins, when he was played in, really should have scored. But as I say, they created problems for us. It was Emery trying to defensively stop us from building through the centre of the pitch. And he did it quite effectively in the first half and stopped us, I thought, getting up into wide areas. Rice and Odegaard, I thought, were trying to pull out wide, James, to try and sort of create some space. But Onana and Tielemans really was hugging the centre of the pitch when they did that. And then McGinn and the other wide player would tuck in.
Yeah.
So Rodgers would tuck in. So basically, ultimately, they stopped us, I thought, building through the centre of the pitch, in much the same as Wolves did.
Well, I felt that the game was very tactical the first half. It was both teams stopping each other. As much as they were very compact, they got Rodgers and Watkins to drop on Partey and Timber, agree with all that. McGinn and Bailey were quite tight as well, but also knew when to go out to White or Gabriel or whatever. We saw some good battles out there. I did feel for all of that, we also stopped them as well as they stopped us. Every time they did try hit the channels for Watkins, which he loves, every time they did try get Bailey in the game, every time they did actually get some territory in our final third, it wasn't very long, in our build-up third, in their attacking third, it wasn't very long before we were back on the ball and playing again. So I felt that we had all the foundations for a win. I felt that actually it was the first half where I came out going, we're all right. I don't think we're playing badly. It's like I said, Villa fans might not like to hear it. I understand that Watkins missed 2 massive chances, but again, I think it's a foul on Gabriel. You certainly get... There's definitely an arm across. Some refs might give it, some might not. Watkins missing it is a bit of luck for us. There's no question. He normally bury that, especially last season. But the effort off Onana, that Onana comes off Gabriel and hits the crossbar, that's all just a bit of a freak moment that lands to Watkins. So apart from those 2 moments, I think we did a really good job shutting them out. Yeah. And actually it was taking some intricacy and quality from us to get a shot out from Saka that was then saved by Emi Martinez. In the second half, when Odegaard and Saka combined for a little 1-2, and then Saka tries to go around Martinez. Again, we've had to be really inventive there. So I did feel we were doing a little bit more to try and unlock them, which is why I felt quite comfortable and quite happy with how the performance was going.
Just before you move on, just want to say the best moment for me of the first half, it probably was for you as well, was pure shithousery from Ben White.
Yeah, it's genius.
And basically Saliba, who I thought marshalled, you talked about how well we recovered and got the ball back, and Saliba was winning all these duels. He actually was forced into a corner by Watkins, and he literally takes the ball off him.
Yeah.
And he's going past him, and then McGinn comes in and smashes the ball against Saliba, who does react because it's a typical McGinn moment. And Ben White just comes across with brilliant accuracy and just lashes it at McGinn. Ben White epitomises how this team has now become defensively, because this team was so weak defensively and used to get bullied.
Yeah.
He makes sure now, as all those defenders do, Gabriel, White, we're not bullied anymore, are we? And he epitomises that so much. He just come across and stood up for his teammate in that moment. And I love that. I love Ben White. And that moment for me was, I was purring when I was watching that on Saturday night on the TV.
I completely agree. It was one of my favourite moments I've seen for a while, just purely because, apart from the wins and the goals and all that, because you're right, how often do we get bullied and kicked about?
Yeah.
And actually Arteta was getting frustrated on the touchline with Saka getting fouled and nothing being said. In fact, there was more of a talking to Arteta for protesting quite innocently than there was for an actual foul and kicks on the ankles that Saka was getting all game.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. McGinn knew what he was doing. Cool, you're going to deploy the dark arts, but we're going to bite back with it. And Ben White was brilliant with that. And I felt that Arsenal were really on the right line. Even when Calafiori came on, he understood the assignment. Yeah. Let me leave a little bit one on Emi Martinez, but let me then check he's all right. There was just, you know what I mean? It was they're very clever. And Arsenal, I mean, listen, you get it wrong, and I'll be the first to sit here and go, come on, you went over the line, it's frustrating, focus on the football. But when you get it right on your right side of the line, it's good because you know not to get bullied, and Arsenal certainly added that element. But from a tactical perspective and a shape, the second half was better. What we're going to do, we're going to move the players into a little bit more, we're going to camp Villa a little bit more in. Now, what we've got is McGinn and Bailey, they're quite tucked in there, but it's fair to say, and as you will see with the goal, that they were out wide at times as well to try and really protect and get a bit of a back six. The thing you really want to talk about, though, is the right-hand side with Saka, White, Odegaard, but also Gabriel and the impact that Trossard had. Yeah,
I thought the key to beating Villa, James, was two things, I thought, ultimately. First of all, obviously, Rodgers and Watkins were doing a very good job in sort of like dealing with our inverted players. They came off midway through that second half, and the two players that came on, Ramsey and Duran, weren't quite as good as what Rodgers and Watkins have been. That was key, really, because we started to get on the ball in midfield. But the real key to beating Villa is, I think, and we were talking about this morning, is runs in behind their defence. They play a very good defensive line. It's very well coached by Emery. So if you're going to beat him, you're going to have to make good runs in behind. Martinelli did it once or twice in the first half, but he was very wasteful. But I thought second half, we started to get it right. We started to sort of like play through the midfield, get it out wide. The right-hand side, I thought we had 4v4s a lot in that second half, with Partey pushing up next to Odegaard and Ben White appearing and going on the overlap, allowing Saka to come inside, or even White underlapping, which he did for the Saka goal, for the Saka cutback for the first goal. But ultimately, it was because we found a way to get passes in behind them. The first goal, obviously, Odegaard reverses the pass for Saka then to cut back, that comes across for ultimately deflect off Havertz, who's being challenged by Rodgers, for Trossard, who'd come on by now to replace Martinelli to score. And then the second goal, Gabriel notices Trossard makes that run off the defender, and he floats a beautiful ball over the top, and we run in behind again. Trossard gets the ball across. Obviously, we don't score from that, but Saka's able to retrieve it to pay it back to Partey, who then shot goes in. So I thought two things. I thought second half we started to use the wide areas more effectively again, as we did against Wolves last week.
Yeah.
We got players up high. We started to sort of like create through the midfield, which we weren't able to do first half. And then we got players up to support the right-hand side and the left-hand side. Either left-hand side, we were tending to overload the back stick with Rice and Havertz and Trossard. And then on the right-hand side, Partey, who I thought came up more this game to assist the attack. And we had 4v4s. But ultimately, I thought it was the running in behind the Villa defenders. So ultimately, you wanted to get 1v1 and create space for our attacking players out wide. But ultimately, the key for me was getting passes in behind their defenders and then our wide players running off the defenders, as we saw, particularly in that first goal.
I agree. We're going to break down that first goal, but for what it's worth, for the second goal, it's Gabriel who plays a marvellous pass in behind to Trossard. And then there was a moment where Trossard actually made a run from another long ball. I can't remember who played it. And
he lays it off perfectly, doesn't he?
For Rice. It was brilliant. And you're right, the first half, it felt like there was frustration with and for Martinelli, because whenever he was getting the ball, it was pretend Trossard is Martinelli for a second. He was standing up the fullback, and then there was a job, can you take him on? But when Trossard came on, there was a lot more of a, let's just get directly in behind and let's just get you into that position with the pass rather than giving the ball and hoping that you find the work. Now that could be because the game opened up once we went 1-0 a little bit. Obviously it took some real intricacy from Ødegaard and Saka to combine for the first goal. But I love the way that we were just saying, all right, let's put the ball in behind first rather than give it to the winger to try and progress in behind. I think when you do get the ball out to the winger, so say Trossard gets the ball on the touchline, that only really works if you have that run from the underlapper, and Rice can deliver that. But Marino's going to fit that really well, and I think that's where Martinelli will be helped with it.
I'll just come in quickly, sorry James to interrupt you. I thought Rice in the second half took his position more between the centre-back and the full-back, which occupied the centre-back. I thought Villa in the first half defended very deep. The centre-halves were very deep. They were weary of Saka and Martinelli running in behind. But ultimately, and they continued to defend deep. So when, as you said, the important thing is then you've got to be able to make that killer pass in behind the fullback. They play that line. It wasn't their normal high line, but it's a line, and you've got to get in behind the fullbacks, and that's what we did on those two goals. And as you were describing there, for that moment there.
So let's have a look at this Trossard goal, because what we've got here is the combination of Saka, White, and Ødegaard. That I just think these three are forever problem solving. They are forever problem solving. Honestly, I'm circling through positions here that they're in now. But either one of them could be in any one of these circles at any time. You could have Saka more tucked in, so White overlap. Let's show it. You have Saka more tucked in with White overlapping and Ødegaard just trying to feed the two of them. You could have Ødegaard out on the touchline, so Saka can move inside with White just tucking in and forming a sort of shield in case they do try and transition and counter. You could have, I've seen this before, Saka getting the ball a little bit deeper with Ødegaard stretching. The three of them could be in any one of these positions at one time. And what they do, with, as you mentioned, White underlapping a little bit more, they just have to problem solve. Now, I think we get a little bit of luck here. Actually, do we get luck? No, we don't get luck. I think what happens in this moment here is when the ball comes out to Ødegaard, he takes the touch and sets himself. I think the Villa players think this is going to White, but he leaves it, and then Saka's there for the cutback. Havertz and Morgan Rogers combined. By the way, I thought Morgan Rogers was brilliant in the game. But the two of them both go for the ball. It deflects back to Trossard, and what a brilliant finish. It's just so funny in football how that is a difficult finish, and he pulls it off to put us 1-0 up. Obviously, the poor guy missed the effort that seems so much easier at the Emirates. But the point is, this guy's such a cold-blooded finisher. And again, it's just that sort of combination there. Havertz does well just to try to keep the move alive, and Trossard is there to put it in the back of the net. But the three of them, Ødegaard, White, Saka, forever problem solving, pick up different positions, 1-2s, give and goes, wherever it might be in different areas to try and pick a lock. And they've been doing it for the last 2 years, and they're getting really, really, really good at it.
Yeah, it was fantastic movement, wasn't it? I thought the key very much was the fact that the difference I said in this second half performance with Partey coming up, and we were sort of like getting 4v4s.
Yeah.
But I thought Ben White's performance in this game can't be understated.
Yeah.
The fact is, on the first goal, he's the one who's underlapping and basically taking the Villa defender away for Saka to run off his defender. And then for the second goal, he's the one who then ultimately, as Saka gets the ball, he creates a bit of space for Saka to lay it off the Partey by starting to make an overlap. He starts going on the outside, and the Villa defender hesitates for a moment. Do I go with White or do I go to Saka? That gives Saka just enough time to cut inside and play it to Partey.
Yeah.
And then he hits his shot, which I think probably Martinez should do better. But ultimately it kills the game.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, I'm going to go on some other stuff. I want to talk about Trossard's numbers now. I mean, in the game, you sent this through. He had 13 touches. 4 of those touches were in the opposition box. He managed 3 shots in just 13 touches. Twice he won back possession. Obviously got the tackle and got the big goal. He should have had call it a pre-assist with that touch into Rice. That then he lays off for Ødegaard. Ødegaard would normally bury those, but at Villa Park he seems to not really like scoring there, so fair enough. I think he's missed 3 big chances at Villa Park in 3 years. Do you remember the one where there was an open goal 2 years ago with all the black and gold kit? And then last season I seem to remember one as well that he could have. So he'll never score at Villa Park, but that's fine, Ødegaard, don't worry, he can score everywhere else. I want to talk about Trossard in more detail because when you sent me those numbers I thought, let me dig a little bit deeper. And wow, like some of his numbers are so impressive. We'll start with his goal breakdown at Arsenal. 19 goals in total, and that is across 19 games. He's not actually scored more than 1 goal in a game, which is interesting. But of those 19 games, we've won 16 of them, drawn 3, and never lost. So get him in your team because we at least won't lose and we'll pick up points when he's in the team. But, well, at least when he's scoring. But really interesting that he's never sort of scored in a defeat or anything like that. 6 of those goals were match-winning goals. 11 of those came as a starter, so starting in the starting 11, getting goals when starting from the first minute, but 8 of them came as a sub coming on later in the game. 12 of them with his right foot, 6 with his left foot, that is 1 with a header as well. And he's got 5 goals against what we call the traditional big 6. But that is in an Arsenal shirt. Let me now show you goals that he has scored in big games for Arsenal and Brighton. Because as you can see, he has scored 6 times against Liverpool, 4 times at Anfield. He scored home and away against Chelsea, home and away against Tottenham, home and away against Man City, home and away against Man United. He's never scored at home against Arsenal, so there you go. He knows where his allegiances lie. But he did score at the Emirates in a disappointing defeat for us, 2-1. We were chasing Champions League football. He has scored for Arsenal, a 1-0 win away at Everton, Goodison Park. We had a horrible record there. We went and won there against Porto when we were a goal behind in the Champions League, against Bayern Munich when we were home, but a goal behind in the Champions League, and against Aston Villa away more recently. That is an unbelievable record. When you talk about a big game player, that's it. Like, he is on the big stage, he will deliver for you.
He looked basically angry when he came on Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did,
He thinks he should be in this team.
Yeah.
And I think he's got every right to think that.
Yeah.
I mean, he ended the season last year really on fire, that combination with Havertz.
Yeah.
And basically, I think he had a pretty good pre-season, so he would have been expected to be in the team.
Yeah.
The money we paid for him, the value for money we're getting out of him is insane, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, what do you think of his celebration on Saturday?
I liked it. I thought it was a bit of a little bit of a message. Like, this is what this is what I do. This is and he will feel he should be playing. I don't think it's. I know Martinelli's not in great form, but I don't think it's clear cut that Trossard should be starting every game, because I think whether people like it or not, I mean, Martinelli, just being who he is, a pacey winger who runs at fullbacks, is going to be a problem for a fullback. Is going to get them working hard. So does Trossard benefit a little bit from the hard work Martinelli's done in the hour before, perhaps? But I also think that could work the other way. I think Trossard could have could start games, be impacting games really well, and then Martinelli, with the pace he's got, can blitz teams in that last 20-30 minutes. But I think this is just a great problem to have. I mean, Jack Grealish or Doku. I'm sure when one's starting, the other's thinking they should be, but this is a great problem.
I think the question is...
And they're very different, those two.
Of course. And I think the question is, do we see him as an impact player who's better coming off the bench, or do we see him as someone who should be starting? And his record off the bench, I think of Arsenal players who've scored 10 or more goals for the club, off the bench it's something like 43%.
Wow.
Of his goals have come off the bench, which is the highest number, I think, of anyone, of 10 or more goals.
Yeah.
So as an argument, he's an impact player coming off the bench. But, I watched him at the end of last season, and he was one of the reasons I thought, well, we ended the season so strongly.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And the combination with Havertz, and Arteta was talking about it pre-season, about when Jesus was fit. Havertz and Trossard was linking brilliantly pre-season. So it was slightly strange that he went back to Martinelli, although I did understand why, with Martinelli's pace. And also got that very good goal in America, didn't he, against Man U? So, but I think Trossard, he's demanding a place in this team now.
Yeah,
and I
agree.
think I'll be very surprised, James, if he doesn't start next week against Brighton.
I think he should. I think he will start against his former club. But let's see. We're going to just quickly fly through these. Bukayo Saka, another big performance, especially in the second half where he stepped up and said, let me try and make things happen. We've analysed the goal, but 48 touches with an assist, 2 key passes. 28 out of 28 passes completed is absolutely phenomenal. 7 ground duels won, 3 tackles. He also created the most chances, had the most duels won, he was fouled the most, and he obviously got the assist. Saliba, some fantastic numbers with 87 out of 88 passes completed as well. That's what I mean, the technical security of this team is unbelievable. 7 duels won, 4 tackles, 4 clearances, twice possession won back. He was one last man tackle, never dribbled past. We're going to show you his pass map as well, which has a slightly different data of 89 out of 90 passes successful. Of course, they're all counted slightly different from different sources, but you get the picture. Only once did he ever give the ball away. Much more technically secure than he was in the Wolves game, where he had a few sloppy passes. But look at those. Look how often he gets the ball forward as well. Look at the range of passing. It's phenomenal how composed William Saliba was, and he was absolutely fantastic.
And one great last man tackle, which
phenomenal,
kept our clean sheet.
Yeah,
I thought 12 defensive actions. He won all his duels. He was cool and composed on the ball. Yeah, and he basically took care of Wally Watkins.
Yeah, he did.
I know Watkins had the 2 big chances, but generally Saliba bullied him in that game, I would say. And I thought he looked for me like a top centre back in the league.
I think he is the best centre back in the league.
And I know a lot of us think he is that, but he confirmed that with that showing. He was brilliant on Saturday night. He was man of the match for me. I know they gave it to Raya on the TV because of the importance of the save, but I thought Saliba was absolutely superb.
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
I'm running out of superlatives to say for him, really.
I know, what can we say? I mean, I think it is time that we start saying that he's the best centre-back in the league. I don't watch enough football across Europe and actually across the world to say if he's the best in the world, but I would put him up against, if it was all right, bring your centre-back, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man City, I will put Saliba up against them. I believe he's that good. I don't know what he doesn't have. He's got the pace to make a recovery tackle. He's got the quality on the ball. He's 6'4", he's great in the air, comfortable off both feet, can play right back, right centre-back, left centre-back, steps into midfield. He does everything. And I don't know another player that does everything quite to the level as well that he does everything else. So yeah, I love him to bits. Arsenal's away record, we've got to touch on this. I saw this doing the rounds on Sky Sports as well. 9 games won from our 10 away games in 2024 with only the 1 draw. We haven't lost. 30 goals scored, 3 goals conceded, 8 clean sheets. It's not bad, is it?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And the amazing thing is, 2 of those goals conceded were against Tottenham. That makes it even more unbelievable. And some of those away wins, those away performances, and wins at Tottenham, wins at Man United, drawing at Man City, drawing at Liverpool. So that
Villa Park.
Yeah, so that shows the great quality in some of these away performances. We're a proper team away from home now.
Yeah,
aren't we?
Well, Gary Neville described us as a powerhouse team, and a powerhouse team, I think, can build the sort of momentum that Man City have, and in 2024 we are absolutely doing that. Our away record is absolutely phenomenal, but if you go back to tactical insight last season or tactical insight the season before that, we were talking about our away record being superb. It was something that was so, people don't understand, when Arteta came in, our away record was absolutely appalling, and now I read that and I go, yeah, that sounds about right. It's like, what do you mean sounds about right? This is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal away record in 2024. And imagine Man City are undefeated since Villa Park around the 6th of December 2023. Imagine their away record is something similar. But this is what you got to do. You got to go punch for punch with phenomenal records just to keep up.
It's not just the away record in terms of points gained and wins, it's the clean sheets, isn't it?
Yeah.
8 clean sheets in 9. This team do not like conceding goals.
Nope.
And you saw it when Saliba made that last-ditch tackle that stopped Ramsey from scoring and getting a goal back.
Yeah.
They celebrate that like it was a goal,
they did.
like they had scored a goal, James.
Yeah.
And I just think it's great that we got great defenders now who love defending. They love defending, don't they?
Yeah, they really, really do. Right, the round-up stats. What have we got as Arsenal get? For me, what is the win of the season so far?
Yeah.
In the league, maybe?
So the closing stats for this week, James. Arsenal have now won 18 of their 20 league games in 2024, which equals the top flight record of the first 20 games of a calendar year. Liverpool did it in 1982 and Manchester City did it in 2019 and 2021. Arsenal have won their last 2 games in a top flight campaign without conceding a goal. for the third time in their history. They previously did it in 1924-25 and in the 1971-72 season. Arsenal have now scored 100+ Premier League goals against 4 different opponents. Everton, West Ham, inevitably Tottenham, and Aston Villa. Only Liverpool and Man United have scored 100+ goals against more different opponents. They've done against 5 teams. And finally, James, although for me, William Saliba was the man of the match on Saturday night, David Raya was named man of the match by Sky on Saturday for that top-class performance, which included 3 saves, 1 world-class save. And as we've been talking about in that, he's in the away stats, he's now kept 8 clean sheets in 9 away games.
There we go. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hit the like button if you did enjoy it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Just to let you know now in advance, there won't be a Tactical Insight as things stand next Monday as I'm away. I'm so sorry, everyone. There might be one, but we will see. I won't be there, basically. But we will, of course, keep you up to date on that, so I might be able to fill in. But just giving you that warning in advance. Of course, everything to do with transfer deadline day on Friday. We'll be keeping you up to date with everything throughout the week as it happens here on AFTV. Big thank you, and catch you very soon.
We've got a very special guest in the house. Josh Richardson, NBA player who plays for the Miami Heat. Who would you be in the Arsenal team?
Ben White.
So you got that little nice streak
Yeah,
to you as well.
I'm probably a better scorer than Ben White. Like, I like to shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Theo Walcott. This guy is a burner. And I'm like, yo. I turned, I was like, bro, Theo Walcott is sitting right behind us. And they're like, who is that? And I'm like, nah, you don't get it.
Worst record in the NBA last season?
Maybe like Portland Trail Blazers.
Portland, so that's Tottenham, right?
That was a setup.